everybody. Welcome to RPM, Rock and Pop Mandolin, your destination for learning classic rock and pop songs on this wonderful little 8-stringed instrument. My name is Mike DeJong, and today, once again, we're going back to the 70s, and this time a song by a band called Stealers Wheel, and the song is called Stuck in the Middle with You. This one was a radio staple back in the 70s and early 80s. Still gets a lot of play on classic rock radio today because it's a really catchy song. And this one has a number of sort of country-esque or bluegrassy guitar licks that work really nicely on the mandolin. If you wanted to transpose them over to this instrument, you can do that, and it's a lot of fun. But the main chords are also pretty cool in the song as well. But first, before we get into the Stealers Wheel Classic, I just want to talk about a little bit of business. If you're new here on the site, thank you very much for joining us. But please don't forget to hit that little red subscriber button in the lower right corner before you leave us. It really helps this channel to continue to grow. If you are a returning subscriber, once again, thank you very much for coming back. We really appreciate your support. Perhaps you want to support us just a little bit more over on Patreon, where I will be posting a whole bunch of lessons that are different from the lessons that you'll see on this site, which are primarily focused on songs, learning songs. Okay, so please check out our Patreon site. The link is down below. All right, let's take a look at this Stealers Wheel Classic, Stuck in the Middle with You on RPM. Okay, Stuck in the Middle with You by Stealers Wheel, that 70s classic, starts off with a D chord. And I'm playing just an open D chord here down at the bottom of the neck. Just an open D like that. I think that works best for this song. It sounds the closest to the original version, of course played on guitar. You could play it with a D chord like that or a D chord like this. But I just find those chords don't ring out authentically. They don't sound like the original version of the song as much as this one does. Okay, and what is that strumming going on there? Well, you're just strumming one chord, but you've got to get that. So, and you're kind of emphasizing that first part. Okay, so once you get that opening chord there, the D, that's pretty much it for the verses until they switch to a G7 chord. And then back to the D. Okay, that's the first part of the verses, but what is that G7 chord? Well, I play it here, and in my version, the way I play it, I add a little pickup note there. You hear that? From the D. Of course, you don't have to do that. You can just do a straight G7 chord, which is played here, 2nd fret of the A string, 1st fret of the E string, G7 chord, and you're strumming all of these strings like that. You could also just play a straight ahead G if you wanted to in this chord, in this part of the song. But to me, it doesn't sound as good as that G7 chord there. So here's the verse again, the first part of the verse. It's a D again. Let's go to the G7. Okay, and then from there. Alright, so what's that chord sequence there? You're going clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right, here I am. Okay, stuck in the middle with you, right? So what are those chords? Well, that's an A down here. Clowns to the left of me, just your A chord down there. 2nd fret of the G string, 2nd fret of the D, then C and G. Okay, so C chord there and G chord there, one beat each. So clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right, here I am, stuck in the middle with you, right? Ends up back on the D. So one more time, the verse. Clowns to the left of me, jokers that's the main verse for this song. Okay, after the main verses, clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right, here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Then they go to a part like this. Right? And then back to the D. So that's just the D and the G7 once again. And when you go to the G7, you're kind of hitting it a little bit harder, a little bit more aggressively than the verses part. You're going... He's right. So I hit it with all downstrokes when we go to that G7 part. I'm like... Again, up and down strokes, G7, so that's just a D chord, C2, 4 beats in between those sort of whole note chords there. So there's a whole note there on the D for 4 beats, and then C chord for 4 beats, and then you're back into the main part once again. Okay, there's a couple of other little parts in the song. They're little bluegrassy style licks that you might want to throw in. This one goes over the D at the end of the verses. It goes... Okay, so what is that? Well, that's a cool little double stop lick. And it's employing this note here, which is the 3rd fret of the D string. You're sliding over to the 4th fret and also hitting the open A string at the same time as you're doing that. So, and then you finish off with a from the 2 to the open. So that's a cool... You see how that works with a double stop on this open A note? So that goes over the D chord when they go back. You see how that works? Nice little bluegrassy slide from the flatted 3rd to the major 3rd there, and then the 2nd and the open D. Okay, and if you wanted to replicate the guitar solo on mandolin, you're basically soloing over that main chord progression, which is D to G, and then A, C, G, as I showed you in the verses. So you could put some little bluegrassy solos in there. You could go... Alright, so what am I doing there? Well, I'm doing some, classic bluegrass licks there, just sliding, as I showed you before, right? From the 3rd fret to the 4th fret on the D string, and then back to the 2 in the open, so... But here, I'm also utilizing that A string a little bit, so... Something like that. So first I just slide here, and then I hit that note the 2nd time. So one more time. I mean, it's up to you to do whatever you want as long as you utilize that little lick there. But you can also do it. And you can also bring in here this note on the 5th fret of the G string, which is your flatted 7th in the key of D. So you could do... You could do licks like that where you utilize that little pattern as well, which is 2, open, 5, and then back. So... Okay, and then you're shifting to a G chord. So what I do is I move that little bluegrassy lick in up to this string on the G. So you could do something like that. Right? So that's what I did there. I just went open 1, 2, open 1, 2, 5, open 5, right? So So, like that. So what do we have first? Well, we have the D. Then to the G. Well, I played it a little differently there. I added the second, but you can also add that second fret if you want, or you can just do it straight like that, as long as you stay within the notes in the G scale, or stay with the G arpeggio, right? So any notes that work in G, along with that flatted third as a pickup note, will work. So you could do that, or you could do it like that, where you come down. So either of those work over the G. All right, and then you want to just nail some notes over that A to C to G. Okay, so what I do is I just do... So I'm just going from the A, which is second fret here, the G string, to the 6th fret, then open D, 2, 5, 2, 5. So, and I stay with that first note for a little extra, for maybe a little half a beat extra, just to emphasize that you're now on the A chord. That's an A note, right? So, okay, and I end that by going down to that second note. So what is that? 5, 3, 2, 3, 2. So, and that actually brings you to the G chord, because that note is in the key of G. So one more time, that last little pattern. Okay, and then you're back to a D chord again. So this lick works one more time. All right, any combination of those three little notes. And that is actually a cool little thing to learn if you want to do some bluegrassy soloing over the D chord, or really any chord. But right there on the D, it's really cool. It's like... Right, any of those notes right there will work in a solo like this. Let's do the solo one more time, okay? So over those chords. Then you go to a G. Then back to the D. And then you go A. And there you have it, some solo ideas for Stuck in the Middle with You. Okay, that was Stuck in the Middle with You by Steeler's Wheel, a really fun song to play on the mandolin, and a great classic from the 1970s. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you did and you're new here, please hit that little subscriber button again. It really helps this channel continue to grow. If you are a returning subscriber and a long-time viewer of this channel, thank you very much. We really appreciate your support. Please check out our Patreon link down below as well. My name is Mike DeJong, and you've been watching Rock and Pop Mandolin.